Welcome to Alpha Recaps. Today I am going to explain you 2022 Top Gun Maverick, starring Tom Cruise. Spoilers ahead. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. The movie starts in desert of California with former Navy Top Gun pilot Maverick, who is a test pilot now with lots of memories. He goes to meet Hondo in a restricted area meant for testing drones. Hondo informs him that he has been given the go-ahead to stand down and that his Dark Star scramjet program will be abandoned because they failed to meet their contract, which required them to hit Mach 10. Hondo's aide then informs him that the order originated from the drone ranger after Maverick informs them that Mach 10 was scheduled to arrive in 2 months, and he is personally heading to the location to shut them down. Maverick informs Hondo. Hondo then informs Maverick that the drone pilot was in charge of the mission before Admiral Kane arrived. He knew as he was getting ready to take off that the objective was to hit Mach 10 and not to go any further than that. When Admiral Kane arrived, he went to the control center and told Maverick to bring down the plane, but Maverick pretended that the signal was breaking, so he continued with the mission. Maverick continued pushing the lever until it reached Mach 9.8, and when it reached Mach 10, the team began to celebrate his completion of the mission, but Maverick wanted to go a little further, so he decided to increase the limit again. This time, the engine broke because of the decision. After pointing out his accomplishments, Admiral Kane tells Maverick that he might have become a 2-star admiral, but that instead he is stuck as a captain. Admiral Kane then dismissed Maverick, telling him that the Top Gun had called in and said they needed him for reasons only known to them. Maverick then makes his way to North Island, where he encounters Admiral Cyclone, the head of the Air Force, and Admiral Bates, also known as Warlock. They proceed to explain that the Navy has been tasked with assembling a strike team to destroy an unauthorized uranium enrichment plant that sits in an underground bunker at the end of the valley and represented a direct threat to their allies in the region. They then briefed Maverick on the mission at hand and the threat they face. Then they informed them that they had 3 weeks until the facility went operational and that the valley is defended by several surface-to-air missiles and what looked to be 5th-generation Sukhoi Su-57 jets. Maverick then devises a strategy to carry out the mission successfully, but he qualifies it by stating that it is based only on probability. Maverick was disappointed to learn that he would be training an elite group of Top Gun graduates to carry out the mission without him, and when they brought up the rosters of the graduates, Maverick's old friend who had died in a crash was listed, and his son Bradshaw appeared on the list. Admiral Cyclone then informed Maverick that he was only asked for the position because of respect for Maverick's friend Iceman. He wasn't even on his list of suitable teachers for the mission, because he believed Maverick still had something to offer the Navy. A disgruntled Maverick texted his commander friend, Iceman, explaining that the students weren't prepared for this mission. Iceman replied that this is why they brought him in to teach. Maverick then went to the bar and ran into his ex-girlfriend, Penn. Although she is a little pissed at him for leaving without telling her, she eventually gets over it and is happy that Maverick is back at Top Gun. Because he violated the pub's rules by leaving his cell phone on the bar, Maverick is forced to buy drinks for everyone after attempting to flirt with her. When the Top Gun graduates got there, they greeted one another and Bradshaw showed up, but Maverick wasn't prepared to meet him. Hangman, who claimed to be the best graduate, boasted to Bradshaw that he was going to be the team leader because he was so good at everything. After a brief argument, Penny returns with the Maverick bank card and says it was declined. He tried to pay with cash but didn't have enough on him, so he rang the bell again. This time, some navies came over to him playfully and threw him out of the bar. Maverick grew sad and left the area as Bradshaw started playing the piano and sang a song that his old friend Goose used to perform while they were outside. In the following scene, Admiral Bates welcomed the mission's top graduates and explained their role in the mission. One would lead the expedition while the remaining half would not make the team. He then introduced Maverick as their instructor, but the graduates weren't convinced. Slams the F-18 notebooks that were given to them, claiming that the adversary would also be aware of it, but what the enemy doesn't know is the limit they could attain. As they begin training in groups of 2, he informs them that today's practice will involve dogfighting exclusively with weapons, and they are not to descend below the hard deck of 5,000 feet. They must shoot him down while cooperating with one another lest he shoot them back. Maverick demonstrated his superiority by making it tougher by stating that the loser must perform 200 push UPS. He eliminates the rooster and receives retribution after they continued to perform push UPS, and in retaliation, as they continued to perform push-ups, he went on to defeat the entire squad, demonstrating his mastery. The battle between Maverick and Rooster continued, this time descending incredibly, extremely low below altitude, yet Maverick was able to defeat Rooster once more. Phoenix warns Rooster that he could have killed himself. Rooster then informs her that Maverick withdrew his application for the Navy 4 years years ago, which is why things became tense. Admiral Cyclone shouts at Maverick in the next scene for engaging in dangerous maneuvers that might have killed both him and the pilots. He orders Maverick to start briefing Maverick on his plans and instructions every morning before training. When Hangman later views a portrait of Maverick and Goose's father, he realizes why the two weren't on speaking terms. Goose served as Maverick's sidekick but perished in action. After a brief talk with Amelia, Penny's daughter, Maverick offers to help Penny fix the engine of her boat in the next scene. Once they have both completed the repair, he then takes Penny back to his house. The following day, he speaks with the graduates about the mission. He informs them that the surface-to-air missile would strike any object above the canyon, so they must fly as low as 100 feet. If they are detected by radar above that altitude, they will perish. He also informs them that the mission will take 2.5 minutes to complete because the fight generation fighters will be waiting for them at their air base. But Maverick wasn't pleased, saying the 5th generation fighter would have finished him up. Rooster argues, saying he would go into a dogfight and might have a chance as it wasn't about the plane. But as the two were bickering, Hangman interrupted and started talking about Rooster's father, which led to a fight. Later that night, Maverick got a text from Iceman requesting to see him immediately, so he went to meet him. When Ice inquires about his job, he replies that things weren't going well since Rooster wasn't prepared and that he couldn't bear to lose Rooster in the mission. However, Ice, who is suffering from throat cancer, advises him to let go of the past and give Rooster another chance. He then concludes by saying that the Navy needs him. In the following scene, Maverick takes the entire team to play beach football in order to improve the team's chemistry. The team grew closer as they played together, but Admiral Cyclone wasn't happy. Following the game, he takes Penny back home, where they embrace and kiss. She gave him the assurance that Amelia wasn't returning, so they spent some time together. Then he reveals that Rooster's mother had promised him, just before she passed away, that Rooster wouldn't become a pilot because of what had happened to his father. Goose, unaware of the promise, Rooster resents Maverick for ruining his military career and blames Maverick for his father's death. As they were discussing, Amelia showed up, surprising the two as Maverick had to use the window to escape and Penn wanted to make a good impression as Ma. The squad is informed the following day that the mission was advanced by 1 week because they didn't want to expose the target to radiation. Despite the fact that no one has yet succeeded in flying the low-level course, Admiral Bates urged that they still carry out a mission. The squad then hears from Maverick that they required to successfully complete 2 phases of a miracle in order to complete this mission. In phase 1, 2 pairs of F-18s will fly in single wing formation. He explains to them that because the factory is situated between 2 mountains, they must immediately invert into a sharp descent after reaching the top, which lowers their altitude, and an angle of attack. A laser bullseye will be painted on the target by the 2-seater aircraft. In the following phase, the initial pair must enter the reactor by the use of a laser-guided bomb. If either team misses the target, the second team will fire the death shot, destroying the target. Mission is unsuccessful. They must make a long ascent to escape before striking a mountain, and they needed to exert a minimum of 9G in order to survive that assignment. In order to avoid blacking out, because when they dodge the mountains they go right to the enemy radar, giving them seconds to organize an airstrike. They will pull so hard till they weigh close to 2,000 pounds that their skull would be exploding in their lungs, imploding. Phoenix then questioned whether the mission could be accomplished, to which Maverick said that it all depends on the pilot. However, during the training, things didn't go well because Coyote nearly killed himself after making the steep climb, and Rooster's plane caught fire, causing it to crash. Fortunately, they managed to eject in time and escape. After learning that Iceman had passed away, Admiral Cyclone fired Maverick from his position as a teacher. When Cyclone General was speaking, they observed an F-18 on the radar. It was Maverick, who had performed an unauthorized flight and completed the mission even with less time, demonstrating that the mission was truly feasible. Later that evening, Cyclone invited him to his office and asked him to choose his team before appointing him team leader and warning him that he was endangering his job. On the day of the mission, Hangman called out Rooster and wished him luck before they took off. Maverick flew as the team leader, accompanied by Phoenix and Bob, while Rooster led the 2nd Strike Force, which included Payback and Fanboy. The Navy team destroyed the enemy's airbase as they made their way to the mission. Phoenix and Maverick were able to complete their initial phase, but Rooster was running late and risked being killed. Then Maverick encourages him, telling him to act instead than think. They are then engaged in an airstrike, during which time Rooster runs out of flares that help to wave off the missiles. Maverick then goes out to save Rooster, but in the process got hit and crashed back at the control center. Rooster then picks up his speed and gets to the target with little time left. He destroys the target with a lucky shot and moves on to the next phase. They are to return to the ship per Cyclone Malone's orders. When Hangman offered to assist in the hunt for Maverick's body, he was rejected on the grounds that it would be dangerous to enter enemy territory. It was later discovered that Maverick was going to be shot when he managed to jump from the plane before it crashed. Once the Rooster helped him, they went to the enemy's base and stole an F-14. Maverick managed to control the aircraft in a dangerous situation. Their signal was turned back on, indicating that they were still alive. They shot down 2 enemy Su-57s. However, when their ammunition ran out, they were attacked by another and were about to be destroyed. At that moment, Hangman intervened, saving the 2 and shooting down the Su-57. Maverick then successfully lands the already damaged F-14 on the carrier as everyone applauds their accomplishment. Maverick and Rooster then embrace as he expresses his gratitude to them for saving his life. Later, Rooster assisted Maverick in fixing his P-51. At the conclusion, Maverick takes Penny on the flight he had promised her. If you like this video, please subscribe for more. Goodbye and take care.